A single word of truth, which calms the mind, is better to hear than 1,000 irrelevant words. A single verse of truth, which calms the mind, is better to hear than 1,000 irrelevant verses. Reciting a single verse of truth which calms the mind is better than reciting 100 meaningless verses. One might defeat alone in battle 1,000 men, but one who gains self-mastery is by far the greater hero. Self-mastery is the supreme victory, much more to be valued than winning control over others. It is a victory that no other being whatsoever can distort or take away. To honour, even for a single moment, one who has attained self-mastery is of greater merit than making countless offerings to those who are unworthy. To honour, even for a single moment, one who has attained self-mastery is of greater benefit than 100 years spent habitually performing ceremonies based on wrong understanding. Even if one should spend an entire year making gestures of offering for the sake of self-gain, all this is not worth 1/4 the value of offering veneration to a noble being. For one who always honours and respects those of greater years, there are 4 blessings: long life, beauty, happiness and strength. A single day lived with conscious intention and virtue is of greater value than 100 years lived devoid of discipline and right restraint. A single day lived with conscious intention and wisdom is of greater value than 100 years lived devoid of discipline and wisdom. A single day lived with conscious intention and profound effort is of greater value than 100 years lived in lazy passivity. A single day lived in awareness of the transient nature of life is of greater value than 100 years lived unaware of birth and death. A single day lived awake to the undying state is of greater value than 100 years lived without recognizing deathlessness. A single day lived awake to profound truth is of greater value than 100 years lived unawakened. Hasten towards doing what is wholesome. Restrain your mind from evil acts. The mind that is slow to do good can easily find pleasure in evil doing. If you perform an evil act, then do not repeat it. Avoid finding pleasure in its memory. The aftermath of evil doing is painful. Having performed a wholesome deed, it is good to repeat it again and again. Be interested in the pleasure of wholesomeness. The fruit of accumulated goodness is contentment. Even those who perform evil can experience well-being so long as their actions have not yet borne direct fruit. However, when the results of their actions ripen, the painful consequences cannot be avoided. Even those who live wholesome lives can experience suffering so long as their acts have not yet borne direct fruit. However, when the fruits of their actions ripen, the joyful consequences cannot be avoided. Do not ignore the effects of evil, saying, "This will come to nothing." Just as by the gradual fall of raindrops the water jar is filled, so in time fools are corrupted by evil doing. Do not ignore the effect of right action, saying, "This will come to nothing." Just as by the gradual fall of raindrops the water jar is filled, so in time the wise become replete with good. As a trader with valuable cargo avoids threats and those who love life avoid poison, so should you avoid evil actions. A hand without an open wound can carry poison and remain free from harm. Likewise, evil has no consequences for those who do not perform it. If you intentionally harm an innocent person, someone who is pure and blameless, the harm will come back to you like fine dust thrown into the wind. Some are reborn as humans. Evildoers are reborn in hell. Doers of good are reborn in bliss, and the pure enter the trackless land. There is no place on earth where one can hide from the consequences of evil actions, not in a mountain cave, the ocean, nor in the sky. There is no place on earth beyond the reach of death, not in a mountain cave, the ocean, nor in the sky. Having empathy for others, one sees that all beings are afraid of punishment and death. Knowing this, one does not attack or cause attack. Having empathy for others, one sees that all beings love life and fear death. Knowing this, one does not attack or cause attack. To harm living beings who, like us, seek contentment is to bring harm to ourselves. To avoid bringing harm to living beings who, like us, seek contentment is to bring happiness to ourselves. Avoid speaking harshly to others. Harsh speech prompts retaliation. Those hurt by your words may hurt you back. If spoken to harshly, make yourself as silent as a cracked gong. Non-retaliation is a sign of freedom. Just as a herdsman drives cattle to pasture, old age and death direct living beings. Though while they perform their evil acts, they do not realize what they are doing. Fools suffer the results of their own actions accordingly, just as one is burnt when handling fire. To cause harm to the defenseless soon brings suffering to those who attack. They will reap pain or poverty or loss, illness, insanity or persecution, abuse, distress or devastation. And alone, after death, they must confront their misdeeds. Not outer asceticisms, nor self-humiliation, nor physical deprivation of any kind can purify one's heart if it is still obscured by doubt. Flamboyant outer appearance does not in itself constitute an obstruction to freedom. Having a heart at peace, pure, contained, awake and blameless, distinguishes a renunciate, a wayfarer, a noble being. A well-trained horse gives no cause for restraint. Rare are those beings who, through modesty and discipline, give no cause for rebuke. Let the dread of endless mediocrity spur you into great effort. Like a well-trained horse, encouraged by the mere touch of the whip. Relinquish the burden of endless struggle with unapologetic confidence, with purity of action, effort, concentration, and by conscious and disciplined commitment to the path. Those who build canals channel the flow of water. Fletchers make arrows. Woodworkers craft wood. The good tame themselves. Why is there laughter? Why is there joy, when the whole world is on fire? Since you are clouded in darkness, should you not seek the light? Gaze upon this once decorated body. It used to attract attention, but now it is only festering flesh, a putrid thing. It is neither sure nor substantial. This body wears out with age. It becomes a host to disease. Vulnerable, fragile, a decrepit, disintegrating mass, which eventually ends in death. What pleasure does life hold? Once one has seen old bleached bones discarded and scattered round. The physical body consists of bones covered with flesh and blood. Stored up inside it are decay and death, pride and malice. Passed down by the wise is the knowledge that, though what is externally impressive loses its splendour, and though our bodies will decay, the truth itself outlasts all degeneration. While aging fools put on weight like oxen in their stalls, their minds remain small. For many lives I have wandered, looking for but not finding the house builder who caused my suffering. But now you are seen, and you shall build no more. Your rafters are dislodged, and the ridgepole is broken, all craving is ended. My heart is as one with the unmade. Those who, while still young, neither choose a life of renunciation, nor earn a good living, end up like dejected old herons beside a pond without fish. Those who, while still young, neither choose a life of renunciation nor earn a good living, will end up bemoaning the past, falling like spent arrows that have missed their mark. If we hold ourselves dear, then we maintain careful self-regard both day and night. It is wise to set ourselves right before instructing others. One's own self is the hardest to discipline. You should act as you teach. Tame yourself before trying to tame others. Truly it is ourselves that we depend upon. How could we really depend upon another? When we reach the state of self-reliance, we find a rare refuge. As a diamond can cut through the stone that once housed it, so your own evil can grind you down. Committed evildoers behave towards themselves like their own worst enemies. They are like creepers that strangle the trees which support them. It is easy to do that which is of no real benefit to oneself, but it is difficult indeed to do that which is truly beneficial and good. Like the bamboo, which destroys itself as it bears fruit, so fools harm themselves by holding to wrong views and deriding those worthy ones who live in harmony with the way. By ourselves we do evil, and by ourselves are made pure. By ourselves we avoid evil, and by ourselves we are made pure. The matter of purity is our own affair. No other can be responsible. Knowing the way for oneself, walk it thoroughly. Do not allow the needs of others, however demanding, to bring about distraction. By renouncing unworthy ways, and by not living carelessly, by not holding to false views, we no longer perpetuate delusion. Do not show false humility. Stand firmly in relation to your goal. Practice, well observed, leads to contentment, both now and in the future. Live your life well in accord with the way. Avoid a life of distraction. A life well lived leads to contentment, both now and in the future. The king of death cannot find those who look upon the world as insubstantial, as transient, a bubble, elusive, only a mirage. Come, view this world. See it as an ornate festive carriage. See how fools are entranced by their visions, yet for the wise there is no attachment. There are those who awaken from heedlessness. They bring light into the world, like the moon emerging from clouds. One who transforms old and heedless ways into fresh and wholesome acts brings light into the world, like the moon freed from clouds. If birds are trapped in a net, only a few will ever escape. In this world of illusion, only a few see their way to liberation. White swans rise into the air. Adept yogis transport themselves through space. Wise beings transcend worldly delusion by outwitting the hordes of Mara. For one who transgresses the law of truthfulness, one who has no regard for a future existence, there is no manner of evil that is impossible. Those who fail to value generosity do not reach the celestial realms, but the wise rejoice in giving and forever abide in bliss. Better than ruling the whole world, better than going to heaven, better than lordship over the entire universe, is an irreversible commitment to the way. The Buddha's perfection is complete. There is no more work to be done. No measure is there for his wisdom. No limits are there to be found. In what way could he be distracted from truth? The Buddha's perfection is complete. In him there is no craving that could drag him down. No measure is there for his wisdom. No limits are there to be found. In what way could he be distracted from truth? Celestial beings treasure the awakened ones, who have fully seen the way, who are devoted to meditation and delight in the peace of renunciation. It is not easy to be born as a human being and to live this mortal life. It is not easy to have the opportunity to hear Dharma, and rare for a Buddha to arise. Refrain from doing evil, cultivate that which is good, purify the heart. This is the way of the awakened ones. A renunciate does not oppress anyone. Patient endurance is the ultimate asceticism. Profound liberation, say the Buddhas, is the supreme goal. Not insulting, not harming, cultivating restraint, with respect for the training, modesty in eating and contentment with one's dwelling place, devotion to mindful intent. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Not in great wealth is there contentment, nor in sensual pleasure, gross or refined, but in the extinction of craving is joy to be found by a disciple of the Buddha. To many places beings withdraw to escape from fear, to mountains, forests, parklands and gardens, sacred places as well. But none of these places offer true refuge, none of them can free us from fear. One who finds refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma and in the Sangha, sees with penetrating insight suffering, its cause, its release, and the way leading to true freedom. The Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, these are the true refuge. These are supreme. These lead to liberation. It is hard to find a being of great wisdom. Rare are the places in which they are born. Those who surround them when they appear know good fortune indeed. Blessed is the arising of a Buddha. Blessed is the revealing of the Dharma. Blessed is the concord of the Sangha. Delightful is harmonious communion. Immeasurable is the benefit obtained from honouring those who are pure and beyond fear. Beings who have found freedom from sorrow and grieving are worthy of honour.